Hey everybody, it's Paul Kearney here of eXp Realty, and today we're going to be talking about the financing aspect of buying and selling a home right now during these times. And I couldn't have picked a better guest to have to speak about this. Rebecca Dick, she is a mortgage agent from the Mortgage Advisors, and she's got a lot to say about the topic. So Rebecca, thank you so much for speaking with us today. To start things off, how is everything going for you? How's business going right now?
Well, I'm very fortunate to be able to work at home, Paul, so that's great. But business is running a little bit differently than we usually run business. So
Right.
I'm no longer doing in-person meetings. Basically, what we're doing now is we're doing online applications, doing lots of phone appointments, scanning and emailing with clients, signing mortgage approvals electronically. And for clients that aren't comfortable with scanning and emailing, we're actually doing door-to-door delivery. So they're dropping off on my doorstep or I'm going to their house and picking up. Um, so that's a little bit different than the usual. As for the type of business that I'm writing right now, people are still looking to move. And so I'm getting a lot of calls about pre-approvals. I don't think they're planning on moving in the next few weeks, but people are actually still planning ahead. So they're thinking of moving in the next few months. I do expect that in the upcoming months, probably what we're going to be seeing a lot more of is refinancing. So people are looking to potentially pull equity out of their homes, improve their financial situations, maybe pay down some debt, reduce interest, increase cash flow, and really see how they can improve their financial situations at this time during COVID.
You know, it's interesting you say that too, because we're at a time now where people are spending more time at home and maybe they're Googling through and looking at houses and they're having a conversation about where their financial goals are and if maybe buying or selling a house is part of those goals. So it's interesting that you're getting some calls about people who are maybe sort of beginning that journey and thinking more to a couple months down the road when things might be more normal. But now's the time where we can start having these conversations with a mortgage agent to make sure that we're getting our finances in line so that when we're going back to more normal times, hopefully in a few months from now, they're going to be in a position where they weren't flying blind. They were working towards an objective. And what I love about your approach to business, Rebecca, is that you go beyond just getting people approved on mortgages. You also were telling me that you've worked with some people that were having some credit issues, and you went that additional step to be able to say, hey, here's how we can get your credit score up over the next couple of months. So to begin that journey now, instead of flying blind and then realizing there's an issue down the road, what a great time now while we're spending more time at home to be able to address some of these issues. So can you speak to that a little bit about how you've helped other people out in that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we do every day. So it's not just about coming in and getting approved for a mortgage and then buying a house right away. It's something that you do have to plan for. So a
Yeah.
lot of times clients come in and they don't really know where to start. They may have some credit issues from the past that they're embarrassed about or they don't want to talk about or they haven't known how to fix. And so my job is to actually sit down with these people and customize a plan and to say, listen, we are going to plan for you to be able to buy a house. It may not be today, it may be in 6 months, it may be in a year, but these are the steps that we have to take and this is what we have to do to actually be able to get you approved. So definitely that's something that we do every day. And like you said before, people have a little more time on their hands right now. We're all at home. And so I find people are really planning ahead and they are taking their finances seriously and they're taking, these types of things into consideration.
Yeah, and that's something important. Like even with my own journey of buying my first house, it wasn't like I just went in and got an approval. I had to go in and I had to do a few things with my own finances to get things right a few months down the road when I was ready to buy. So being able to give that guidance right now, I think is just so effective for people. And I'll be sure to, of course, put your contact information up so people can call you if they're beginning that journey and want to get some questions answered about their credit situation, how high they need to get it, and what they have to do in the meantime in order to get that.
Happy to do that, right? It is a step process and there's a lot involved to be able to buy a house and we're here to help them plan and get them to that point.
But you know what? It's a journey, yes, but I find that it's more realistic for people than they think sometimes. I've had some people close to me saying, oh, I'd love to buy a house one day, but I'm not in a position to. Okay. And what have you been doing about that? And, when do you want to be in a position to? And then you can sort of reverse engineer it and you set goals and you focus your energy on doing that. And that's why somebody like you can be so effective, because you can audit their financial profile and say, here's what we got to do, and align yourself. So, good on you for being able to do that with clients.
No, thanks. Absolutely. And that's the nice part about my job too, right?
So with tenants not being able to pay rent, it's been something that we've been hearing a lot about in the news right now. Landlords, I know, are worried. Tenants are worried. Can you speak to any possible deferrals that landlords are now starting to look into?
Absolutely. And as far as deferrals, it's not just applying to landlords. It's really just people in general that are going to have situations where they're impacted because of COVID-19 and they don't have income coming in. So there are deferral processes and programs in place. Each lender is reviewing things as a case-by-case basis. Right. To touch on the landlord piece, landlords are expected to collect rent during COVID-19, but some tenants may not be working and they may not be able to afford to pay the rent. Or they may have to pay a reduced amount of rent because, EI is less income coming in a month than what they would usually be getting. So if that becomes an issue for a landlord, there are options where they can call their lender and they can explain the situation, let them know. And there are deferral programs that are available for up to the next 6 months.
So have you been getting a lot of calls on this yet?
I've had a few. I haven't had a ton as of now. I do expect we'll probably start to see more and more. I think, most people are probably okay for April because they've had their paychecks coming in for March. So I'm kind of expecting that maybe by May 1st, we'll start to see a little more of this, but definitely have, several customers that personally aren't landlords, but are impacted by COVID-19. They're not at work. Their income is now less. It's a huge stress, right? So they are definitely calling their lenders and making arrangements to defer those payments for the next 6 months.
Oh, so really, if anybody's in that situation, best advice you can give them is to get in touch with your mortgage agent ASAP and start working on that deferral process, because they might need it, especially if not now. Maybe that's going to be more of an issue, like you said, as we approach May 1st. I wanted to ask about the interest rate. I know that we have lower interest rates right now, and I just wanted to get your opinion on how we're positioned this year than, say, where we were at last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I happened to pull some of those stats. Last year at this time, we were actually above 3% on a 5-year fixed rate. So anybody that was coming to us to get a mortgage approved for a high ratio, meaning approved through CMHC, Genworth, Canada Guarantee, those would be our clients that are putting less than 20% down on purchases. They were looking at interest rates of 3.09 to 3.29 last year. And the good news is, at this time right now, even though we are going through, COVID-19 and everything else that's going on, our interest rates are still actually lower than they were last year. So clients are still getting in on high ratio insured deals under 3%, kind of starting out at 2.6 right now, and 2.94, I would say, would be the ceiling on that. So, could be somewhere in between depending on which lender the client fits with.
I know that we've been working on some business together, and one of the things I just learned was that there was a AAA lender that's not taking into account rental income now based on everything that's happening with COVID-19. But I know other AAA lenders are not reacting to that. Is that right?
Yeah, you had actually said that the other day, and I thought that was interesting because, to be honest with you, I've got 30 plus lenders and I don't have any of them that are not taking rental income into consideration right now. So
that's awesome.
So that's really great news. Not sure which lender it is that's actually doing that, but that's not the case in our business right now where I'm at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what advice are you giving buyers, like any type of different advice in this market that you would not have to talk about just a few short weeks ago?
Yes, definitely. Our process have changed a little bit for sure. Lenders are now looking for income documentation up front. So in the past, sometimes we were able to just submit an application, and if they were a government employee, we may have had a T4 from last year and we didn't have a pay stub or an employment letter, we would condition for that. It's not quite the case right now. So with COVID-19 going on, lenders do want to be able to confirm income up front before issuing a commitment. So the best advice that I could give to your clients would be prepared. If you are going to be applying for a mortgage at this time, bring an employment letter from your employer stating that you are currently employed, and a recent pay stub, meaning the most recent pay stub, So we're no longer looking at pay stubs that are 30 to 60 days old. If you are a client that happens to be laid off, in that situation, we do also want to have an employment letter with a return date, or a return letter at least saying that you are expected to be coming back to work after COVID-19.
That was actually going to lead into one of my next questions was, what happens for anybody that has had a firm deal, have a closing coming up, say in a month or two, but they're temporarily laid off? What's happening with them right now?
Very good question. So if we have clients, which we all do, that have had committed deals prior to March 25th, even if they are laid off, the lenders have decided that they are honoring those applications and they will go forward with funding those mortgages. So anybody that's had a commitment issued to them prior to the 25th doesn't have to worry about that. Going forward as of April the 1st, it is going to be more of a case-by-case scenario. So if you do have clients who are currently laid off, I would say that it's best to assume it's going to be case-by-case scenario when it comes to underwriting and approving.
So really what this whole thing about is we're taking this day by day. These are what the rules are right now, but in 1 or 2 weeks, it could potentially mean something different too. So for all of our clients out there, I think the best advice to give them is just to act on the best possible information we have now, and to potentially make sure that you're positioning yourself to make adjustments and pivot accordingly based on what the rules might be a week or two from now. Would that be sound advice?
Yeah, that's sound advice.
Okay. And are the underwriters, do you find, are they more tied down because of all this happening? Because they might not be working at the office, they're working from home.
All of us are actually working from home, so we're pretty much lucky to be working remote. I have underwriters that are responding to me all hours of the day. 7 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I get emails at 11 o'clock sometimes. So no, I wouldn't say our underwriting has slowed down. I would say our turnaround times are still the same. And we're doing our very best to be able to run business as per usual.
Awesome. Well, that's really informative, and I'm happy to know that you're staying safe. You're able to effectively do business while working at home, and I'm glad to know that for anybody out there that was worried about temporarily being laid off when they have a house that's going to be closing soon, that they're, at least for what's already happened, those deals are still going to be able to close properly. So I think knowing that is going to provide a lot of relief for people that are hearing this right now.
Great. Well, I'm so glad that I was able to help clarify some of your questions and answers around that.
I look forward to referring you many more times. And, you're such an expert in this field. I really thank you for taking the time to speak with me today about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is my first Zoom call, but it's exciting. And this looks like it may be the new way that we do things for the next little while. And I look forward to doing many more deals with you and helping any of your clients out during this difficult time. If they just have questions and they want to reach out, feel free to have them give me a call and we can have a chat anytime.
Yeah, I'll definitely post your information up. But yeah, your geographical area, you're covering Kingston basically for the most part, or?
Yeah, I mean, I do mortgages anywhere. So I could do Toronto, Kingston, Ottawa. Because I'm remote, I can actually do mortgages all across Ontario. So, I mean, Kingston is definitely my main area and I live here, and, this is where I know people and my business contacts are. But yeah, if you happen to have a client that's even moving outside of Kingston, happy to assist with that as well.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. And we'll be talking soon, and stay safe.